Trump's tariff policy is almost universally hated by economists and free market conservative types. So the big question is, why is he not getting more pushback from within his own party? And it has to do with the electoral incentives driving GOP politics. You've probably seen this chart floating around, and what it shows is that the number of manufacturing jobs in America has been on the decline for decades. And even when China entered the World Trade Organization, it didn't really do much to increase the decline in manufacturing jobs. So understandably, a lot of people are asking what gives. Well, the fact is that while globalization didn't have that big of an impact on job losses, about 90% of manufacturing job losses in the country were due to automation, the entrance of China into the World Trade Organization had an outsized impact on certain counties. You can see that via this heat map up here. Now notice the amount of red and orange in states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. These states held the lion's share of the pivot counties. These are counties that voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012, but then flipped to Trump in 2016. And see, Trump picked up on the fact that there was a political vacuum to fill left by Democrats who had taken working class voters in the Rust Belt for granted for decades. Now, of course, you could ask about why Trump isn't being influenced by the stock market as much, but it's important to keep in mind that over 90% of stocks are owned by the top 10% of households, and over 60% of Republican districts have a level of income lower than the national median. So these are the folks least likely to be affected by ups and downs in the stock market. Now, if the tariffs result in higher prices, that's a different story. But there's a bigger issue here, and that's that workers in countries like Germany and Canada didn't get hit as hard by the effects of globalization because of their country's strong safety net and job retraining programs. And they also didn't see anywhere near the rise in income inequality we saw here in the US over the last 20 years. Now, the problem with America's two-party system is it makes it way too easy to ignore certain pockets of voters and ignore problems until they fester and make more extreme policies popular. And it also very often leads to senseless policies such as tariffs in the interest of getting that razor-thin margin you need in a few key states in order to take the White House. So if we want politics that works for more than just a few zip codes, we really need to think about opening up the two-party system to real political competition. This would allow those smaller pockets of voters, like the working class voters in the Midwest, to form smaller parties and challenge the status quo when the two major parties fail to deliver. If you want to learn more, check out fixourhouse.org. They're working to implement an electoral system more similar to Germany's in the United States. I'm not affiliated with them, but I'm a big fan of their work, and you can always follow me. I talk about stuff like this all the time.